right, we are ready to get started. So good morning again. Thank you for joining us. My name is Alena Ardito. I am a Symantec IT Asset Management Consultant Engineer with ITS Partners. Today we're going to go through a couple of things about software asset management and how those correlate within the Symantec management platform. So I'm just going to jump right into it. To start off, just a little bit about me. Like I said, I am a consultant with ITS Partners. I am a technical specialist and authorized consultant with Symantec. My focus is asset management suite of the Altiris products, and I've been working with the product for almost 4 years now. So just a little bit about ITS Partners as a company. We're a national and a platinum partner. We've been Symantec and Altiris partner of yours several years. We are a master specialized partner, and our focus is primarily on the Symantec endpoint management and security solutions. We're going to go through, we're going to start off with basically what is software asset management and why have an SAM process with your company? What are the benefits to you? I'm going to go through a little bit of what the basics would be of setting up some of the policies in an SAM from a compliance standpoint. And then I'd like to jump into a quick demo of some of the capabilities that the Symantec Management Platform can provide and support with those SAM policies. So what is software asset management? The overall ability to track applications throughout their life cycle. So everything from when you're planning to make a procurement to the procurement of an application and the license to deploying that application to clients throughout your environment, managing the usage of who's actually using each of those licenses, and actually disposal of the license when the license is ready to expire. So all of those phases throughout the life cycle would have are part of the asset management in which you would apply processes to help manage everything within your environment. So defining an SAM process really helps an organization to achieve that maximum value of your IT investments. Getting the processes in place is really is a repeated return because on your investment for each of those applications each time it goes through each of those phases. At the bottom I have something that was from a Gartner research paper, a white paper and it basically implies that organizations can realize cost savings from 5 to 35% by implementing SAM practices into their organization. And that's on 5 to 35% on their IT budget. Okay, so why have this SAM process? Why go through all the trouble, defining all the policies for each of these phases? Of course, there's the monetary standpoint, that 5 to 35% of cost savings. So we'll start with cost avoidance. Obviously avoiding under and over purchasing licensing for each of these products. Under licensed products, something that you can benefit from with the product or with an application tool is actually get the reporting showing that you're out of compliance now and giving you a chance to plan ahead, purchase through volume licensing versus retail prices that you might pay otherwise on a one-by-one basis. So giving you the reporting to plan ahead and make those purchases ahead of time is a cost avoidance, as well as with over-licensed products. So you have the ability to view all your purchase licenses that maybe have been sitting around on a shelf for the last 6 months because they haven't actually been needed to be distributed to your clients, as well as actually distributing those licenses and having users not actually consuming the license but actually using the license. With a tool in place, you can see who's not using the license and actually change your license agreements based on that information. So you're not over purchasing. When you can see people are saying, hey, we only really need to buy half of these. So cost savings from an actual reuse of the licenses that you already own and have or distributed from clients that have the actual installation of the licenses on their computer, and you can tell from reporting that it's not being used at all. You can actually uninstall that license and reuse it on a client that would actively be using the application, and that's just an example of a reuse. As well as when computers are being decommissioned, you can pull whatever licenses may be able to be transferable and move them to clients. And this is part of having the policies in place will give you that information at each of these phases within the life cycle and allow you to take action to obtain cost avoidance and cost savings. So being prepared for an audit, it's one of those things that you want to get through an audit comfortably and as quickly as possible. No one likes to be in that situation, and obviously the tool itself can take away or can take away the manual process of collecting inventory. There would be no manual of collecting applications from clients, collect all that information for you, but having the SAM policies in place and keeping all of the documentation, entitlement information from the license attached to those products will help make you more prepared for that audit experience. You really want to be able to prove the entitlement on each of the software. And finally, the software standardization. Having a standard, being able to define policies to keep versions in the license types within a certain range is overall just going to give you a little bit more control over who's using what. It's also actually going to help your IT support by having less incidents because of compatibility issues between versions. Reducing that total number of managed tracked software is going to give you a more overall control of your applications. And that kind of goes along with my equation at the bottom, having more control over your environment as a whole. And keeping the successful policies in place is going to result in less cost, less risk, and overall, in the end result, less SAM policies the more that you keep these successful processes in. And now I'm just going to go through really quick. This is super high level, the basic steps that we would suggest as far as just to implement an SAM process to obtain a clean compliance. So starting with determining your entitlement, you want to figure out what it is out of all the software that your company has a right to be using, what the quantities are, what types of the software it is. It can be, when I say type, I mean per processor. Is it a concurrent license? Is it per installed node? There's a lot of types that can change how your compliance count at your end result compliance number will result in. So you want to make sure to get all this information and accurately record it as at the top level, determining your entitlement. Get all that information together, collecting all the documentation, vendor agreements, license agreements, anything that's going to was associated with the purchase of the license. And this will all come back to, again, with the from an audit perspective, you want to have all that information in one location, and associating it to the actual product is going to give you all that, ease and quickly have access to that. Collecting all documentation, once you're at that point, you can go ahead and review some of the inventory of installs. So you can look at the software applications that are coming in from the inventory scans and see what you're dealing with as far as what's actually on your clients. And once you're at that point, you actually can determine compliance. And compliance, really, all that is saying, what are my entitlement quantities, my purchase counts, minus the inventory counts. If you are in a positive compliance, you're a positive number, you have plenty of licenses left. If you're in a negative number, you're out of compliance, and you need to look into a way to resolve those out of compliance products. And that kind of comes down to my last bullet there, which is at this point, you can review back all the phases and go through all the processes up to that point to see where there might be some optimizations. For example, the big thing is, why might you be out of compliance? You can go back and look at the products that you're most commonly out of compliance, or the most highest count, and figure out what the problems are and change your policies according. Just as an example, the number one reason most organizations do fall out of software compliance is actually because of the end user. End users are purchasing or installing software that's available on a share and throwing off your compliance counts. So, if that ends up being an issue, you can then put in a policy higher up in the lifecycle phase that doesn't allow them access or doesn't allow them to install specific things without appropriate authorization. So this is where, it's incremental steps and stages that are going to lead to cost savings over time. And there's the SAM processes is an ongoing strategic program. It's going to need continual review and changes as you see how it fits within your organization. Okay, so how can Asset Management Suite, the Symantec Asset Management Suite, help in supporting the SAM policies? This is kind of some of the stuff that I'm going to cover in a demo in just a second. I'm just going to go over it here really quick. From a contract management side, what I was saying before is a software license within AMS is a link between the entitlement, the software purchase quantity, and it's a link between the product or what's coming in from inventory. So it provides that association, and out of that association, you're getting your compliance. So there's an automatic link right there that can be part of your policy that to make those associations, and will give you the correct reporting through that contract. Software license contract also holds the option to include electronic copies of documents. This comes back to the audits. If you have, right on that software license, you have attached all of the license agreements, any document that was obtained during the purchase of the product, everything is in one spot. And most people can get to the documentation, the compliance reports, all this in just a certain number of clicks. So just everything should be quickly and easily accessible at this point. Again, compliance, or I'm sorry, I skipped. Dynamic inventory. So I will jump into and show you just how inventory collects software from these clients and give you an idea of what you're looking at with the inventory collection and how you can go back and forth between the contracts and that inventory. We will we're going to look at some of the reports. So the compliance tracking is a calculated report as well as some of the other contract reports. And there are automation policies that the management platform does have that can send out basically notifications to specified users for non-compliant products. There's also built-in ones to handle contracts as well, so we're going to look at those really quick. ITS also has a customized report pack that supports a lot in auditing issues or when an audit time is coming up, and as well as some of the software compliance reports. So there's a little bit of added customizability that ITS has put on top of the built-in reports that we're going to look at briefly as well. So all I am here right now, I am just under Home and Service and Asset Management and Software Licensing. This will be the main part that you would be editing from a contract side. So for the most part, you're going to be editing a license and a purchase. I'm going to go ahead and open up an existing license and show you the associations to the purchase and some of the data fields that are existing already with them. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up Office Professional. This is an existing one. If you can see, this is just a report, and it's showing these are all the software licenses. This is a demo environment, so there's not a whole lot of good data, but there is an association to a product, and I'll show you this. Whenever it says the software product, it's linking to the actual inventory at that point. So I'm going to go through this in just a second, but I'm going to jump down and look at the software purchase. And just for review, the license is what links to the software purchase as the quantity, and is also what links to the software product as the inventory. So this is the purchase that is linking to this license, and I'm going to just open that up and show you that really quick. So as you can see here, this is the software purchase. There's some default data fields in here that don't need to be populated by any means, but the real meat of the software purchase, again, is this quantity. So that license is going to take that quantity, compare it to what that quantity is coming from inventory, and then that's where your compliance numbers are coming from. As I said, there's a lot of default data classes or data fields in all of these resources. So you don't have to use them, but some of them are quite often used. And the cost center ownership, of course, purchase owners can be users or departments. And one of the great things about Asset Management Suite is how you can customize data classes within the tool as well. So if you had a process, an SAM process defined that required some specific data entered in, you could create a new kind of field here that would require users to enter that in when they're creating a purchase within your system. All right, I'm going to go back to the license really quick. So as you can see, this purchase has been added to this license. So something that we brought up briefly before was that the ability to associate documents to a license. And this can be done just like this. You're not actually uploading the document to the console. You're pointing to it to a share or some kind of local drive that everyone has access to. This is what's going to give you that. I keep saying that audit. It's what's going to make it very easy to get all this information. If everything is associated and everything is in one spot, all the steps within your SAM will get a lot easier. And you can actually view the document. It's going to yell at me because this is just a sample EULA that I put up here. But basically, just to give you an idea, and you can save this off, of course, or print it or whatever you need to do for it. But the idea is just keeping all this information in one spot. So this is that product that I was referring to before. Again, that's linking back to inventory. So this is the inventory account. And we're going to go over to the inventory side in just a minute after we're done with the contracts. So another useful piece of information that really counts towards your compliance is non-inventory installs. So if there's a point where you have consultants or something outside of the company that you would be installing some of your individual licenses on, but is not going to have an Altiris agent on, therefore won't be collecting inventory from, you can do a manual non-inventory install count, which will show up in your compliance reports accurately. So this license type here under software license details is what you could add. This is all you can add to this list as well, like if you did have the per processor, or there's other types of licenses that you're purchasing, this would be signified here, and then that license type would show up with each of the licenses. The last thing that I'm just going to touch on here is in the standard contract information right here at the bottom, the start and end date. That is the start and end date of the contract, the software license contract. What's important about it really is that end date, because that is the expiration of the license. So there's reporting, like I was saying, that can give you notifications of when these licenses are set to expire, so you can plan ahead. Okay, hey, in 3 months this is gonna go out. We need to plan to get a process up, so we're gonna go ahead and set up a plan for procurement. If it does expire, it will automatically, these licenses will know whatever purchase is associated to this license will no longer apply. So you're going to that quantity is going to disappear, and your compliance is going to go way out of scale. So just keep in mind that the start and end date does basically expire the license, literally. So that's really all I was going to show on the contract side of it. At this point, I'm just going to jump to the inventory. So again, this is our test environment. So we don't have tons of products to find in here, but just to keep our example going, I'm going to stick with our Office Professional Plus. So this is called the Activity Center. This is a view that it gives you an overall of how you would view the software inventory that's coming in and manage it as a product. So this shows you actually each computer that has this application installed. This is showing you here the total licenses, because we did apply that software purchase to the license, and the license is associated to this product. So we do have the 27 licenses applied, and we have 6 using it, so we're still within compliance. Therefore, we're still within our green line, and everything is happy at this point. If you hit Manage License over here, this links directly back to the purchase and license. You can actually open this up. And this gives you kind of like a quick summary of what's included in the license and the purchase. But say, for example, if you wanted to look at the product from this view and you're in a situation where you're ready to go look at the actual documentation that was accomplished during the, or that was done during the purchase, you can open up the full document, the full software license contract, and then here's would be your associated documents. So all of this information is really easily available from this view as well. And same thing with the purchase. If you had to change some information or something, you can open up the full license purchase from this view as well. Just to give you a little bit more background on how, I talked about this slightly before, each of these products has to be basically defined. So how do you know that Office Professional Plus is the same, the suite is going to include the same thing that was purchased under your, whatever, your purchase agreement. So for example, in this one, and this is a default one, this has not been modified, this is from Symantec, Office Professional Plus as a suite. Now, this is automatically excluding Visio, and it allows you to have Visio as its own purchase. So by breaking up the product that way, you can track them independently. And that's something that you'll have to start, you look at, make that, again, part of your SIM policy, is to track these products, and as you're creating your entitlements, track products and or define the products so they can align correctly with the actual license. So this is the application metering. So this would allow you to see whether the person has used that application or not. So if you installed it 6 months ago and they never opened it, this would be that checkbox that's going to, and this association that's going to allow you to see that information. So this is saying if the user has not opened this application, these haven't been associated, that you actually associate it to one of the executables within the software. If it has not been opened within the last 90 days, then no, it has not been used. This would actually turn to a yes if anyone had opened it. Again, this is a test environment, so these users aren't real users, but this would switch to a yes, and this would give you the date on when it was last opened. And this information would also populate up here in this graph here. So this is a nice view overall of who's using what once these products are defined in here, and it gives you a quick glance at whether you're in compliance here. You can also, just something to keep in mind, switch over so you know that this user, for example, is someone that maybe the computer is being decommissioned. So you can actually click that computer. It will bring you up to the computer view and show you all the applications that are being tracked underneath this computer. This is everything that's collected through inventory. So it's just like a nice little switch over. These are all the computers that are collected and have Altiris agents on them. Okay, so we're at the point where I'm going to go over to reporting, and I'm actually going to go back to where we started. So actually, this is the default page that comes up, and it will give you these few common reports, and I'm going to jump to this one, software product licensing compliance, because this is really the one that we care about at this point. And this already has my search term in there. Look at that. So I had a search term in here, and I'll clear it in just a second and show you what it looks like. But this is a product name. I put that in, and this is what we've been looking at, the Office Professional Plus. Now, this is the columns that this report is pulling in. The purchase column is what we have tracked the entitlement quantity in the software purchase. So this is that quantity. Borrowed and donated license, if you have an agreement where you can move licenses back and forth between versions in order to stay within your compliance numbers, this will show that here. So you can get that information if you are moving licenses back and forth. This installed column is what's actually coming in from your inventory, so that's where we just were the managed software. That's that 6 computers that it did populate as having that application installed. Non-inventoried installs is what was on the software license that we said these are clients that are not not going to be in our network, and are not going to be checking in. So we're not going to get software inventory from them, but we know that they do own licenses or consuming licenses. So our compliance is 6. So we are in compliance for this license. As you can see, as another example is Professional List 2010. Same thing, kind of thing. We have some non-inventory, some purchased, but we are out of compliance, so it has a negative number there. This report will give you all of the products within the system, so it is quite a few. So it does let you search. So these are ones that don't necessarily have license information attached to them. Okay, so this other report on this last one. So this is a parameter, or all the contracts that are expiring within whatever you enter into this parameter. So I have 60 days in here. This is going to show you all contracts. And right here, this is the type. These are software licenses. These are all we have. And these 3 will be expiring within the next 60 days. So getting the information from these reports, again, allows you to take action from there, depending on how your policy is defined, or your SIM process. I'm going to, so these 2 reports are probably one of the more useful ones from an SIM perspective. And these are also 2 that are built in as automation policies. So I'm going to jump over there really quick and just show you that. So as you can see right here on the left, I have contracts expiring within the next, say, 60 or 90 days. So all these are, and I don't have email configured on this server, so we're not going to be able to, I don't have a test that I can show you, but these are all pre-configured. You don't really need to change anything here. It's got a built-in query that looks for those contracts that are expiring, and it's going to literally send an email for every one of those records that populates in that report. So that report we were just looking at, so 60 days, it's going to have 3 emails that are sent out separately for each of the contracts that's going to expire. And then based on these input parameters, you can say what specified users you'd like this report to be going to. So those are the contracts expiring that's built in. And these are all, any of these you want to change a little bit, if you want to edit the query somehow or change that to 120 days, you can edit that. You just right-click, clone it. So this is the other one that I'm interested in. The software product with license out of compliance. This is going to give you a report or an email of a list of all of the products that are currently out of compliance. So anything with a negative number on it for its compliance number is going to be sent in an email. So it's, you can set this up. The most common thing is a weekly email that says, hey, these are all the products that are currently out of compliance. Someone has an action item on each of those products to figure out what's going on with them and get a policy out to resolve or normalize those compliance issues. ITS customized reports that I did want to show you guys that are, there's quite a few ITS customized reports that are part of the report pack. And just so you guys know, there is a webinar that covers this exclusively in much more detail than I have for you today. But this is just some of the ones I did manage to pull in. And so from a compliance perspective, we can look at just the product install count. These are ones that aren't built into the system, but are things that, why they don't have just a list like this that's accessible to everyone. So this is a good one to have if you just want to see the actual install count, and this is from inventory. So without having to click on each of those products on the other side. There are some other ones. Again, you can get more information on this by going to the webinar. I don't think I have all of the reports on me right now, but I think that pretty much wraps up where all the information that I was planning on covering with software asset management and within the management platform. Well, I appreciate for everyone coming. Thank you.